All right, I'm making this video as a test of myself. As I rewatch some of these previous videos, I don't know if I've always been like that or if that is the result of the fallout of my life falling apart in recent years. God, the weaving, the tangentalness, which is a word I use now ever since I saw a doctor and they put that on my record, tangential, and said something else, said something complimentary, and then said tangential, but see, I just did it. Fuck. I think I'm just this way. I'm making this video to stay on task, to prove to myself that I can do it. And the topic of discussion today, at this moment, is going to be narcissism and family systems, toxic family systems, and narcissism. I'm going to stay on point. Watch this shit. It's going to be great. We're going to do it. We're doing it live. Narcissism. And for the sake of specificity and keeping things on task, we'll go with narcissism as it relates to empathy for the narcissist, and why narcissist exists. And I'm going to make those 2 points one and the same. And again, trying to keep on subject. And if I come off subject, quickly going back onto subject. Again, the subject, narcissism, how we evolved to be narcissists, how narcissists manifests, basically why it's in culture, why we have that in society, and empathy as it relates to it for the narcissist. So right off the gate, I'll say that it's a cope for me, as somebody that identifies, this is like the fear of families, and like I'm so afraid of talking about that. Someone's going to see from my family. I don't care if you're watching this. I don't care. My family are narcissists. I look at it as black hat and white hat narcissists in my family. This is a quick tangent, but if you're familiar with hackers, white hat being more, benevolent, not necessarily sadistic or evil or whatever, unempathetic, fully unempathetic, but mostly coping and using narcissism to try and maybe the grandiosity, maybe the delusion is a way of coping and feeding the emptiness, right? Where black hat would be more closer to the psychopathic, sociopathic spectrum of whatever it takes to get the supply and hurting people. At best, doing it because they need supply. At worst, doing it because it's actually enjoyable, just the act of hurting someone. So that's how I just describe certain people in my family as black hat or white hat narcissists, but they're all kind of narcissists. Having said that, narcissism, my cope with it, as I've done my healing, and the way I see it, at least currently, is I had 2 narcissistic collapse of the ego. Maybe I wasn't a full-blown narcissist. I don't believe I was, but I had one very traumatic thing happen, and then the second one that was like a kind of like a very surreal thing that happened. Who gives a shit? I'll say what happened. I had a stillborn daughter after doing and living a very unhealthy sex, drugs, rock and roll lifestyle, whatever, and at the very most stressed I've ever been in my life, finding out that I lost I had a 6-month baby girl that didn't make it or whatever, and so then I couldn't look at myself after seeing that. Like I immediately, first of all, it was one of the first times I didn't have Adderall to numb, to be a rope, to be a just a workaholic, just like a kind of more insensitive person. And then it was like one of the, and I had been sleep deprived. It was the perfect storm, beyond stressed out. And so just to my core, my heart, like it, like the blinders were off at that moment. And I could talk about the, how like what that led to with my partner and with my, and I learned a lot, but essentially that was the collapse. And then the second time when I was in rehab, I was in there with like a reality TV person, and and they kind of, all I wanted was to get their approval, and it's like I had more ego than them, and that, like, this is a very famous person, and it was just like, but also is like kind of the perfect person to run into. At some point, I might talk about who it is if I get their permission. But they're a real down to earth person, and I couldn't have been a better person to run into, and that was like the second time, and it was like I told things that it's funny that no one really knows, and it had to be like a person that, like, it's just crazy. Like, it's so as that kind of collapsed, I kind of can see the forest through the trees, and getting back to the point of the see, that was a quick explanation of we're on task. We're on task. Um, as it relates to narcissism, as I can see the forest through the trees on narcissism, and how it like manifests in families. 2 points. One, my personal cope is, and this is not, I'm not it's a pretty, I think, what the fuck is the word I'm looking for? It's a pretty common thing to have families that are like very narcissistic. Like, they get like, you don't have to use the word narcissist, but every narcissist is selfish, but not every selfish person is a narcissist, right? So like neglectful parents, whatever, you have something to prove. So it's like sink or swim. And I have to believe, like, as I've spent so much time doing the deep healing work and, trying to survive, knowing that like certain people maybe never cared about me or had even, had the tools to care. But my cope is that it is something that starts in families that, is a coldness that creates like fucking monsters. Like, very successful people, like, it's a very polarizing thing. I think it's important to not get too in the weeds with personality disorders, and if just unhealthy, right? Toxic. We're talking about neglectful, abusive, whatever, like not healthy. It tends to create like extremely successful people, um, or debt or alcohol, drug addict. Like, it creates like a very, and I used to think that was like, not getting too off subject, but I used to think that was because you can't see the forest through the trees. I would think that was characters. The worst thing you could be is boring. Characters, it's like USA Network. Characters welcome. And that's how I believe. That's how I live my life. And I don't believe that anymore. I have healed and I am a grown up. Yes. And so, having said that, that's where the empathy, that's where now that's where I bring those two ideas together. Empathy for the narcissist, because again, it's just somebody who has a lot of insecurity at the end of the day. If we're just talking about narcissism and not like the shittier tiers of human, right? And the more incurable. But yeah, people that are personality disordered are not loving life. They don't, it's this hole, right? Until you do the deep healing and the work, if you ever do. Hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and not trying to be any kind of like superiority or anything, because that's narcissistic. But god damn, it's yeah, empathy. Empathy for the person, the individual, and the to the extent that it is like a familial system, you know, they're as guilty of their actions as I am to my kids, assuming, right? And that's a cool notion, right? And that's what's kind of, oh fuck, I'm being too tangential. I don't care. This is how my brain works. Fuck it. It's kind of sad that millennials aren't having kids, because I think you can't really have empathy for your parents truly until, and I don't have kids, and I would never treat my kids like I was treated. So maybe there would be no empathy. Maybe it would be less empathy, like Dana White said. I didn't really realize I had bad parents until I had kids of my own, and it made my relationship with my parents even worse, I think is what he said, which, god damn, it makes it hurt even more that I don't have kids now. But backing up, disregard what I said maybe. The empathy that underlies, or it's powerful, that too. So the narcissistic family, it's if you know anything about narcissists, you truly, you're watching this video, like narcissists, there's no winning. So like empathy, non-reactivity and empathy, like being a good person and having your emotions in line, which takes work if you don't have the tools. Non-reactivity is what I'm saying. It's difficult if you don't have the tools, right? And narcissists prey on that. And then the empathy, it's like the true empathy, which is not, it drives narcissists crazy. The non-reactivity is like a neutral, right? Like, damn it, he's not reacting. Fuck. It's kind of like it basically wipes out the how do you say, the pursuit that a narcissistic person may have, or sociopath, anyone who needs supply, right? It kind of stops this pursuit in a neutral way, the non-reactivity, while as the empathy actively, it's actually like a weapon, right? So you can use that. It's like killing with kindness, right? Except the killing with kindness is like kind of a more shallow notion of, like, I think a grade school, to a level 1, first stage, toxic person. You're like, crap. But you don't necessarily have to mean it when you're killing someone with kindness. While true empathy and understanding at like a deep level of what that person's going through, and therefore you can empathize with their pain, that will fuck, especially if they're a psychopath, that will fuck them up. You got to be in a safe environment for that one, or know that you can handle what's coming, because yeah, it's not really always what I was planning on going with when I was talking about empathy, not toxic empathy in a way that weaponized empathy. I don't know if that doesn't describe it right. Those are two like pejorative ideas, weaponized and toxic. Toxic empathy is hurting yourself. Weaponized is usually like you're doing something. Yeah, I guess weaponized is the right way to put it. Weaponized empathy, but from a place of protection. Getting tangential again. God damn it. I lost this tooth a while ago. Do I look like I have is it starting to affect my jaw? Oh no. It looks like I kind of have like a hello. I feel like it looks like I have like a bruise here now. I'm noticing my speech looks different. Anyway. So narcissism. 13 minutes in. We're gonna end the video here in a little bit with closing. Narcissism, toxic family systems, and damn it, I want to remember the title of the video. Narcissism, toxic family systems, and how they manifested, I guess what it was, and having empathy for your toxic family system and the power of it. I think there's one other notion. It was how they originate, how toxic family systems, i.e. narcissistic family structures in a family, originate, and empathy. That was the title of the video. The link between narcissistic families and empathy, and how to fight them with empathy and understanding how they originated, I guess is, whatever, I tried. Anyway, we'll see what the actual title I used for this video. Hopefully this wasn't the most tangential video I've done. We stayed on task. Narcissism If you have a narcissistic family, you're not alone. A lot of those boomers are. They're like kids. Probably had to parent them, right? It's not fun. It's backwards. A lot of things probably were backwards. And you're not alone. And have a great day. And yeah, appreciate you. Goodbye.